Highway in Lansing, Michigan. We're also hosting this Michigan remotely using Microsoft Teams. Telephone relay service is available through the phone option. If you are participating via Microsoft Teams, you may also turn on the live captions by clicking on the More button at the top right of your Teams window, then clicking on Language and Speech from the drop-down menu, and finally clicking on Turn on Live Captions. As indicated in the notice for today's meeting, if we lose the remote connection, the Commission will not recess. The meeting will, however, be recorded and available for future reference on the Commission's website. In addition, the Commissioners can receive comments via lara-mpsc-commissioners@michigan.gov. Reference, this email is also included in today's meeting notice. We'll have an opportunity for the public to make comments as provided in the agenda. A few notes about this. Comments are limited to 3 minutes and 1 per person. If you would like to make verbal comments, you must do so in person or remotely through Microsoft Teams or by calling into the meeting by phone. For individuals attending in person and who want to make a verbal comment, please fill out a comment card. Comment cards are available at the front table near the podium. For individuals participating by Microsoft Teams and who want to make a verbal comment, you may click on the raise hand button at any time to be queued up for comment. For individuals participating remotely by phone and who want to make a verbal comment, you may press *5 at any time to be queued up for comment. Public commenters on both Microsoft Teams and on the phone are added to the same speaker queue and will be called upon in the order they enter the speaker queue. So please do not lower your hand or press *5 again, or you'll be removed from your place in line. Finally, to minimize disruptions, attendees participating by Microsoft Teams or by phone are muted until we reach the time for public. First order of business is the approval of the agenda for today's meeting.
I move for the approval of the agenda for today's commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve today's agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The agenda is approved. Next item of business on the agenda is approval of the minutes from the February 11, 2025 commission meeting.
I move for the approval of the minutes from the February 11, 2025 commission meeting.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Now have a vote on the motion to approve the minutes from the February 11, 2025 commission meeting. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. Commission meeting minutes of February 11, 2025. Next item of business on the agenda is the approval of orders and minute actions on the consent agenda, and today the commission is assisted by Staff Attorney Caitlin Mucci. I recognize Ms. Mucci.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Today's consent agenda consists of 1 communications matter, 3 electric matters, and 1 steam matter. The proposed orders and minute actions for these matters have been thoroughly vetted by the Commission's technical and legal staff and are ready for your approval.
Thank you, Ms. Mucci. I move for the approval of the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda.
I second the motion.
Exciting when we have a steam matter. Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the orders and minute actions on the consent agenda. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The orders and minute actions on the consent agenda are approved. Recognize Ms. Mucci.
Item 4A1 is case number U16940, which involves the matter of Q-Link Wireless LLC's December 19th, 2011 application for designation as an eligible communications carrier that was approved by the Commission in the August 28th, 2012 order in this docket. The order before you revokes the designation.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-16940.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I would like to thank our telecom staff for their diligence and focus on protecting Michigan's telecom customers in this ETC revocation that's before us right now. This is the kind of regulator vigilance that's required to ensure that private companies like Q-Link are not defrauding vulnerable customers. Our Public Service Commission telecom staff found that the company Q-Link had stolen more than $100 million from the FCC's Lifeline program nationally. This is a program that provides discounted landline telephone service to low-income seniors. And our staff acted expeditiously to revoke their license in Michigan. Your work is very valued and important, and I want to thank you for your action in this case.
Commissioner Paratek, is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-16940. Ms. Mucci.
Item 4B1 is case number U20604, which involves an application filed by Consumers Energy Company requesting ex parte approval of a power purchase agreement with Manitou Farms LLC. The order before you approves the application.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20604.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? Now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20604. Recognize Ms. Mucci.
Item 4B2 is case number U20959, which opens a comment period in response to a proposed revised template and recommendations posed by the commission staff related to data disclosure and green button progress reports. The order also postpones the requirement to submit an annual data disclosure report and quarterly green button progress report by March 31st, 2025, with a new filing date to be established in a future order.
Thank you, Ms. Mucci. I move for the approval of the order in case number U-20959.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
I would just briefly like to draw attention and highlight this opportunity to comment on revisions to our utility data disclosure reporting, including reports on customer data protection and sharing. And just, we would like to make sure that we get this right, so we would appreciate all input.
Commissioner Peritick, is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by unanimous vote. The order in case number U-20959 is approved. Recognize Ms. Mucci.
Item 4B3 is case number U21051, which involves an application filed by DTE Electric Company for approval to reconcile its power supply costs and revenues for 2022 meter jurisdictional sales of electricity. The order before you approves the reconciliation as amended by this order.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21051.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21051. I recognize Ms. Mucci.
Item 4B4 is case numbers U21400 et al., which involves a matter on the Commission's own motion to commence a work group for the consideration of financial incentives and penalties as they relate to the reliability and resilience of the electric power system in Michigan. Staff member Kayla Gibbs will describe this order.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Kayla Gibbs, and I serve as a Commissioner Advisor in the Commission Office. On April 24th, 2023, the Commission issued an order in case number U-21400 establishing the Financial Incentives and Disincentives Work Group to better align utility financial performance with customer value due to the ongoing and emerging challenges relating to the utility's distribution grid. The initial focus of the work group was on reliability for issues involving distribution reliability and safety. The work group was directed to develop metrics relating to reliability, including but not limited to System Average Interruption Duration Index, or SAIDI, including and excluding major event days, System Average Interruption Frequency Index, or SAIFI, customers experiencing multiple interruptions, CME, Customer Average Interruption Duration Index, CAIDI, and resilience, including but not limited to downwire response and the frequency and duration of outages during extreme weather, using the updated service quality and reliability standards for electric distribution systems rules as a baseline. After multiple iterations of a straw proposal, which was informed by engagement sessions and comments filed to the docket by interested parties, staff filed the final straw proposal on May 3rd, 2024. It outlines 7 metrics measuring the average length of customer outages, the amount of time the utilities take to restore power both following storms and in calm weather conditions, the number of customers experiencing 4 or more outages per year, as well as improving poor performing circuits. The Commission requested interested parties to file a final set of comments on the straw proposal. The order before you adopts the staff's straw proposal with a few modifications, including the SAIDI all-weather metric, which staff's proposal outlines a 5% cumulative improvement would assess a penalty using a 5-year average for a threshold. The incentive utilizes 10% improvement from recent performance with a deadband to incorporate variability. The order modifies this metric to measure all-weather SAIDI utilizing actual results on an annual basis with a 0.75 standard deviation. The Commission also directs the utilities to track reliability in My EJ80 Census Track to inform potential future metrics on equity, grid modernization, distributed energy resource integration, and resilience. And finally, the commission emphasizes that although the metrics incentivize more quickly improvements to the distribution system and service for customers, it should not be at the expense of utility worker safety, thus directing utilities to review safety standards for utility workers, confirm the standards are sufficient to ensure safety and protect workers. The financial incentives and disincentives metrics will be further vetted in a standalone proceeding to file a proposed performance mechanism by April 15th, 2025. A standalone proceeding will also be utilized to review metrics, which will commence on or before October 15th, 2027. Additional guidance regarding the process will be provided by the commission. Before closing, I want to express my thanks to all interested parties who provided valuable feedback and engaged so thoughtfully throughout the collaboration. In addition to Jay Griffin and MPSC staff for their expertise, hard work, and commitment in developing multiple iterations of a straw proposal. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gibbs. I move for the approval of the order in case numbers U-21400 et al.
I second the motion.
Just a few comments from me before we vote on this order. The order in front of us today represents nearly 2 years of work towards better connecting the reliability performance of DTE Electric Company and Consumers Energy Company to the financial performance of those two utility companies. This has been the work of many hands and is a classic case of the process and ideas generated and shared during that process, making the end result better. I want to particularly thank you, Ms. Gibbs, for your leadership throughout this effort, as well as Mike Byrne, our Chief Operating Officer, many staff involved from across the commission, Jay Griffin, the former chair of the Hawaii Public Utilities Commission, whose contributions to this process were invaluable, Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel and her team of attorneys and consultants who contributed greatly to the final product, representatives from Consumers Energy and DTE who remained constructive in their engagement throughout this process and who remained focused on our shared goal of improved reliability while we worked through the details, and a broad range of organizations representing residential customers, industrial customers, environmental NGOs, and others. My strong sense is that every organization who participated in this effort will see elements of this final proposal reflect their specific input. Our goal from the beginning was to develop a framework that was balanced, pragmatic, and above all, one that drives improvement in distribution reliability, particularly in the areas that are most frustrating for customers. The metrics that Ms. Gibbs outlined above and the corresponding ties to financial performance reflect that focus, including needing to see improvement in the duration of outages, both during normal operating conditions and even when accounting for storms and extreme weather. Improvements in the percentage of customers reconnected within 48 hours and 72 hours so that we drive down the number of customers without powers for days on end after major storms and ice events. Reduction in the number of customers experiencing 4 or more outages in a year, and taking aim at the respective utilities' worst performing circuits, fostering a focus on continuous improvement across the system, and avoiding situations where it seems the same small set of customers experience the worst performance year in and year out. Over the course of this work, we've worked to refine these metrics based on the feedback we've received and to ensure that this is workable. There are too many examples of well-intentioned proceedings aimed at implementing performance-based regulation that ultimately fail to move the needle, either because they aim too broadly, were unrealistic, or failed to consider the very real business, staffing, safety, and other considerations that influence how utilities make their decisions. I hope, and indeed I firmly believe, that this approach is different, and that by staying focused on a relatively small number of performance metrics closely tied to the most acute pain points felt by customers, and then connecting to what one utility referred to as a meaningful level of financial exposure, that the framework included in the order in front of us today will, in concert with utility distribution plans, the Commission's service quality rules and technical standards for electric performance, the results of the recently completed audit to inform prioritization of investment and other activities, that it will help accelerate the progress we're already seeing in distribution and reliability improvement. We've used a similar approach in our energy waste reduction framework, using minimum standards, ties to financial performance, and then all of that within the context of planning, IRPs and energy waste reduction plans, to see our framework in that context be one of the best in the nation. And I firmly believe that using a similar approach here can yield similar results. As noted in the order, we're directing DTE and consumers to file standalone cases by April 15th to establish the baselines and corresponding incentive and penalty thresholds. These will be evaluated as standalone cases, and the Commission intends to issue orders in these cases by the end of the year. We will also periodically revisit this framework to ensure the metrics remain appropriate and to incorporate lessons learned from implementation into future iterations, with the first such review, as Ms. Gibbs noted, set to begin in October 2027. In addition, the Commission remains committed to continuing work on broader issues of distribution performance, the plus part of our Reliability Plus approach to performance-based regulation, and will offer additional guidance on framing for this work in the near future. Again, I very much appreciate the constructive dialogue that contributed greatly to our work in this issue. The framework considered as part of today's order reflects both a high level of engagement and a number of specific ideas that were presented. I'm excited to see how this contributes to improved reliability performance for customers across Michigan and in working with consumers, DTE, and the many other groups involved as we shift to implementation. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case numbers U-21400 et al. Is approved. I recognize Ms. Mucci.
Item 4B5 is case number U-21654, which involves a contested case proceeding established by the Commission to develop and adopt a framework energy waste reduction program and to determine the alternative compliance payments for effective administration under Michigan Code of Laws 460.1091. The order before you adopts the Commission staff's proposed framework as specifically modified in this order.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21654.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21654 is approved. I recognize Ms. Mucci.
Item 4B6 is case number U-21775, which involves the matter on the Commission's own motion to open a docket for load-serving entities in Michigan to file their capacity demonstrations for the 2028-2029 planning year as required by Michigan Code of Laws 460.6W. The order before you grants a motion for clarification filed by Energy Michigan and clarifies aspects of the capacity demonstration process and requirements document and general affidavit as described in this order.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21775.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21775 is approved. I recognize Ms. Mucci.
Item 4C1 is case number U-21291, which involves an application filed by DTE Gas Company for authority to increase its rates for the distribution and supply of natural gas. The order before you grants the petition for rehearing filed by DTE Gas Company as set forth in the order, and denies the petitions for rehearing filed by the Association of Businesses Advocating Tariff Equity and Michigan Power Limited Partnership.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21291.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We'll now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21291 is approved. I recognize Ms. Mucci.
Item 4C2 is case number U-21439, which involves an application filed by DTE Gas Company for approval to implement a gas cost recovery plan for the 12-month period ending March 31st, 2025. The order before you approves the plan as set forth in the order and accepts the company's 5-year forecast, but also provides caution with regards to costs associated with responsibly sourced gas premiums pursuant to Michigan Code of Laws 460.6H subsection 7.
I move for the approval of the order in case number U-21439.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion?
Yes, thanks, Chair. For its past 3 gas cost recovery or GCR plan applications dating back to GCR plans for the 12-month periods through March 2023 and March 2024 respectively, and for the instant case covering the 12-month period ending March 31st, 2025, DTE Gas has requested approval for recovery of the premiums associated with its purchase of responsibly sourced gas or RSG. As described by the company, responsibly sourced gas is, quote, natural gas that has been verified by a third party to have met specified environmental targets during production, end quote. There are many evolving certifications that verify both environmental and social attributes of natural gas, and in its application, the company explains it's only considering certifications that verify lower methane emitting natural gas for its RSG purchases to meet the company's own commitment to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. In each of the prior relevant plan orders and in the order before us today, the Commission has issued a Section 7 warning that indicates responsibly sourced gas premiums may not be recoverable in the company's future reconciliation cases without first providing and quantifying evidence of how responsibly sourced gas delivers a benefit to DTE gas customers and that such costs are reasonable and prudent. Because this is the third time the company has attempted to plan for expense recovery associated with RSG premiums, and because the Commission has repeatedly issued a Section 7 warning for these premiums with the same explanation for the warning, I'd like to reiterate what the order specifies in the context of this warning to help clarify. In these three orders, DTE Gas has failed to provide sufficient evidence on the record to demonstrate or quantify the benefits to customers who would pay a premium for the company's RSG purchasing strategy. Yet this evidence is necessary to determine whether costs incurred were reasonable and prudent. An example of quantified benefits includes potential cost savings from supply chain emissions reductions achieved by monitoring and certifying responsibly sourced and lower methane intensity natural gas. The Commission does not preclude the possibility of cost recovery of the premium expense in a future case with sufficient evidence. While I commend the company for its commitment to emissions reductions, especially since, as the company states in its application, quote, methane is a powerful greenhouse gas when released directly to the atmosphere and is considered approximately 25 times more impactful than CO2 emissions, end quote, I want to emphasize the criticality and importance of ensuring the company can assign benefits at the customer level for its RSG procurement strategy and not only demonstrate broad carbon reductions associated with the company's corporate goals as it has previously reported, if the company seeks to recover the RSG premium expenses eventually. The aim is that these consecutive warnings and our order directives will serve as actionable guidance on the expected quantification of benefits that these orders have outlined for future cost recovery attempts.
Thank you, Commissioner Carrion. Is there any additional discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21439 is approved. I recognize Ms. Mucci.
Item 4C3 is case number U21782, which involves an application filed by Amoresco Woodland Meadows Romulus LLC, requesting ex parte approval to install and operate a pipeline associated with a high British thermal unit landfill gas project on the Woodland Meadows Recycle and Disposal Facility located in Van Buren Township, Wayne County, Michigan. The order before you approves the application and makes the required agency findings regarding the pipeline's environmental impact.
Thank you, Ms. Mucci. I move for approval of the order in case number U-21782.
I second the motion.
Is there any discussion? We will now have a vote on the motion to approve the order. All those in favor of the motion say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The order in case number U-21782 is approved. We have now reached the time reserved for members of the public to address the commission. As mentioned in the notice for today's meeting, we will take comments in the following order. First, from individuals attending in person, and then from individuals participating remotely, either through Microsoft Teams or the phone, who have entered the speaker queue. As a reminder, this public comment period is for commissioners to listen to comments and concerns and not to answer specific questions. When providing comment, please indicate your name and where you live if you're willing to share so that we have it for our records. And again, please limit comments to one per person and keep them brief, no longer than 3 minutes, so we have a chance to hear from all who would like to comment. I don't believe that I have any cards in front of me, but want to see if there's anybody here who would like to offer public comment today. Okay. We do have a couple of hands up on the virtual options, and so we'll go to those in the order that they were received. Scrolling furiously, I appreciate that. First is Syed, and so if you want to turn your microphone on, you're also welcome to turn your camera on, but invite you to offer comments.
Thank you, Commissioner. Is it possible for me to defer my place to the next person first? Would that be
Sure.
appropriate? Thank you.
So we'll have you join both after Emily Chalkley.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Chalkley, we'd love to hear from you.
Hello, yes. Okay, regarding case number U21471, my name's Emily Chalkley. I'm from Teconcia, Michigan. Good afternoon, commissioners. I appreciate your time, and I have 3 key points to share regarding ITC's proposed transmission line. First, Teconcha residents have reported that ITC reps have repeatedly stated that it's easier to claim eminent domain than to move the route to follow the highway and deal with the Michigan Department of Transportation. This statement raises serious concerns. On ITC's website, under Culture and Values, they emphasize, and I quote, doing the right thing, acting with honesty, openness, and striving for the common good, end quote. The statement made to residents contradicts these values. Commissioners, you should thoroughly vet ITC's claim about working with MDOT. Routing the transmission line along the highway appears to better serve the interests of residents and aligns with ITC's own values of integrity and responsibility. Second point, although all residents deserve clarity on the impacts of this transmission line on our properties and health, research ITC cites on property values lacks specific, credible sources, only stating that property values can vary. Furthermore, part of ITC's public safety information comes from a document published over 20 years ago, titled EMF, Electric and Magnetic Fields Associated with the Use of Electric Power. Updated research is needed. According to cancer.gov, there are still unresolved concerns regarding the link between high-power transmission lines and health risks. For example, the increased risk of childhood leukemia among those with the highest exposure remains unclear. The same source notes that breast cancer risk cannot be ruled out and more studies are needed. The World Health Organization echoes these inconclusive findings. These health risks are not something residents nor myself are willing to accept. Third and final, residential properties, especially those near this project, will likely face the largest drops in value. Yet neighboring properties receive no compensation. My home is within 300 feet of the proposed line and will lose value without any reimbursement. This is unjust. ITC claims the project will bring $6 billion to Michigan and create 4,000 jobs, but they are the only ones negotiating. The one-time offers to property owners are far below Teconcha's average price of $10,000 per acre and do not consider long-term property value loss. These offers are also predatory, using pressure tactics like sign now or your offer goes down. ITC is prioritizing their shareholders over Michigan residents, treating us as obstacles rather than partners. As Michigan commissioners representing Michigan residents, I urge you to hold ITC to the highest standards and remind them of their commitment to their culture and values. If routing the transmission line along 69 is more challenging and costly, but it's the right thing to do for Michigan residents, then ITC should be held to that route. Michigan residents should not bear the burden of a lifetime of decreased property values or uncertain effects. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Chalkley. Next, Syed, and apologies, I'm unable to see names, so.
Oh yeah, no worries at all. Yes, hi. But you can hear me though, correct?
Yes.
Okay, yes, thank you so much. Yes, my name is Ibad Syed. I live in Novi, Michigan. I initially spoke to this commission late last year in regards to DTE's failure to follow its own policies and what I perceive to be the MPSC's lack of oversight in regards to installing a secondary meter at my residence here in Novi. So I initially filed the formal complaint with the MCSC because DTE forced me to comply with installation requirements that weren't supported by their own documentation standards, which led to unnecessary costs and delays. And I raised this issue with the MPSC late last year, hoping for regulatory oversight, for which I didn't hear anything back. However, since then, it seems like I have been faced with a retaliatory response from DTE. As a result of my complaint, DTE refused to process my rebate application, for which I fully met the qualifications listed. DTE claims that I never filed it. However, I personally submitted it through their online portal on November 18th. And so I cannot understand any reason for them doing this other than retaliation. And when I escalated this matter with DTE, they lied and stated that the rebate program would be available in 2025 and encouraged me to file it then, which was clearly a stalling effort, as after 8 weeks of waiting, it turns out that they've released their rebate programs. However, the particular one that I qualified for in 2024 and complied with in 2024 fully was discontinued. And please, to clarify, when I say complied fully, I mean complied with the official guidance as well as the additional work that they made me do, which was not supported by their own documentation. So it's not like I did not do it. I completely fulfilled it. However, it looks like DT is retaliated there. And so I question the purpose of having a commission like the MPSC. Unfortunately, it's possible that I hope that this is not the case, but the truth is that the MPSC has a $41 million budget with commissioner salaries being in the 150s, almost up to 200,000 annual range. And I do ask the voters that are on this call to keep in mind that regulatory oversight is a beautiful idea in theory, but sometimes impractical in reality. And when we are facing our next elections here in the state, please keep in mind that concepts like Department of Governmental Efficiency might be the way to go, because if the commissions effectively just end up working for the utility companies, as we saw in this call, that the commission was very tough on smaller companies that we've never heard of, like QLink. However, when it comes to challenging companies like DTE, perhaps due to the size and capital resources that DTE has available, the commission really just steps aside and allows DTE to do what they want. So if that's going to be the case, why have a commission like this, and why pay our tax money into a $41 million budget for commissions like this? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Syed. Don't see any other hands raised on the WebEx or by phone. So at this point, we will conclude the public comment period of today's meeting. Please note that the public may continue to submit comments to the commission at lara-mpsc-commissioners@michigan.gov. That's LARA-MPSC-commissioners at michigan.gov. And again, that is in the meeting notice as well. I don't have any announcements today other than the announcement of our next meeting, which I know is exciting. And it doesn't look like either of you do either. So we'll conclude today's meeting. The next regular commission meeting is scheduled for Thursday, March 13th, 2025 at 1:00 p.m. Is there a motion to adjourn, Commissioner Fairton?
I move to adjourn today's meeting.
I second the motion.
We will now have a vote on the motion to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Aye. Any opposed? The motion carries by a unanimous vote. The meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody.